Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Good morning to you, one and all, to all of you beautiful ecclesiastites and wonderful liberty lovers all across the globe. It is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live this, Friday? Yes, Friday morning.
Welcome to Freedom Friday.
Yes, indeed, it is Freedom Friday. We have made it through another week. We always like to take things a little bit lighter on Fridays, as we slide on into the weekend, celebrating our freedom, what little we have left of it, of course. As always, you can talk about just about anything on Freedom Friday. Just keep it clean, please. Call-in number is 603-835-3226. 603-835-3226. That is the Freedom Friday hotline for you and I. Yes, indeed. So, glad you made it through the week. Glad I made it through the week. It wasn't, it's been some ups and downs, I suppose. If you've been paying attention and following all the polls and such out there. Now, I got a full boat today, loaded for bear this morning in the paper pile. This is. I just couldn't stop this morning. It was just everything was leading to something else, which led to something else, which led to something else. This is probably the largest paper pile on a Friday that I have ever had. There is no way. If I had 8 hours to talk with you this morning, today, I would not get through what I have. I mean, this stuff. It is going to take me hours to put this on upload all of this stuff, so I'm not even going to try, but we'll get through it as best we can, and of course, as always, take your calls should you wish to call in and talk about anything. I mean, look, I know Trump is in the news, Hillary's in the news, Biden's in the news. You notice that he's been really quiet this whole election season. I mean, this is how do you put a muzzle on Joe Biden? Somebody found a way to do it. Obviously, that Barack Obama understands how to. Hillary Clinton once said that with her husband's Bill Clinton's laws with the added the 100,000 police. Remember that 100,000 police on the streets. We need 100,000 police, new 100,000 police on the streets in America. And Hillary Clinton is famous for being heard saying, we got to get these people, these young black men, to heal. In other words, calling them dogs. Well, I guess Barack Obama has found a way to get Joe Biden to heal and shut his trap. I don't know what he's got on him. I don't know what it took or what he had to say to good old Joe, but Biden is he's awfully silent these days. And I don't know. Maybe it's the media is refusing to put the microphone in front of Joe's face. That might be too. But in any case, we've heard very little out of him. In the past 4 years, we've heard very little out of Joe Biden. Not that I'm complaining, because I'm not. But I just think it's kind of odd. A man who was constantly opening his flap trap, constantly, inserting his foot in his mouth and saying ridiculous things, and all of a sudden he basically goes silent. And we don't see nor hear much from Biden. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe you ought to put one of those ankle bracelets on that they're putting on a lot of the illegal immigrants crossing the border right now. Maybe we ought to put one of those ankle bracelets on Joe just to see what the hell he's doing and where he's going and why is he so quiet lately. Just interesting. If you have, let's go through some of this stuff here. This weekend. Well, I know it's Monday, but this weekend, basically, people are going to be celebrating Halloween. So, folks, just a little public announcement here. Be on the lookout for kids. They're going to be running all weekend long from probably starting from this evening through Monday night. They're going to be kids in costumes running all over the place. And a lot of times those costumes, if they have a mask, the little kids' costumes especially, if they have any kind of masks, their field of vision is going to be vastly reduced and restricted. So you've got to be extra careful for them. I don't care if you're in a rural setting or in an urban setting or anywhere in between. A kid could pop out of nowhere if you're not paying attention in a costume. And they may not really see, even though they think they looked, but because their field of vision, and they don't know this, their field of vision has been drastically reduced, but they think they look and they don't see anything, and they'll dart out in front of you. I've seen it happen. Hell, I probably did it myself as a child. But just be careful out there. We don't want any accidents. We don't want to hear anything about children getting runned over. Yes, I said runned over. We don't want any kids getting hit. Because the last thing, most people, you will never forgive yourself if you hit a child. I have seen people tear themselves apart after hitting and killing a child with their car. It's devastating. You've taken away somebody's future. It's not like an adult that should know better. I could never imagine hurting somebody else's child that way. It's just it's unimaginable because you automatically think of your own kids too. So be careful out there this weekend, will you? No drinky driving. Do not drink and drive. There is no need for it today. Hell, you could, I don't think I have it on the website. I'll put it back up there on the website. If you need a ride in most locales across the country, you can get Uber or Lyft. If you've never used, I think Uber still has a first-time rider free ride. If that's the case, I'll put the link up on rodeccles.net, and if you've never used Uber before, you can get a free ride. I think if they're still running that promotion, I'll put that link up on rodeccles.net later this afternoon. It's cheap. Uber. I've taken an Uber car. They're cheap, and they're professional and they're safe. In spite of what the taxi conglomerate may want to tell you, take an Uber or a Lyft or whatever ride-sharing system is in your community. Don't drink and drive. There's absolutely no excuse today. You got buses, taxis, you got all types of alternative transportation. There is absolutely no excuse for drinking and driving. None. Don't do it. Because now that there's going to be a lot more kids out there, and if you think that you're driving home at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and you're going to be safe during Halloween, no. Because then you got stupid teenagers. And teenagers are brain damaged to begin with. I don't know. We go from kids that are just crazy, stupid, and inexperienced to being brain damaged. You turn 13 and you get brain damage somehow. I don't know. Most of us grow out of the brain damage era sometime around 25-ish. But teenagers tend to be brain damaged. And if you think you're not going to run over some 10-year-old at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're probably right. You're going to run over some 16-year-old, which is just as bad. So no drinking driving at all. I'm sorry. I know we probably overemphasize it and over-prosecute people on that. One incident, your first incident, is like $10,000 or $15,000 in total fines and costs and all that kind of stuff. That's a bit much. But to think on the other end, what you could have done would have cost a hell of a lot more than that. So there's no excuse for drinking and driving. So I don't care who you are. There's just none. Don't do it. Because I know this weekend is going to kick off the official kickoff of the holiday season. Welcome to Halloween. Are you going to go to Halloween parties this weekend? Are you going to be celebrating? I know all you people in offices, you probably already had your costume, your costume contest and things like that. I've worked in offices where they've had costume contests. Looking back on it, it's really kind of ridiculous. You go into work dressed up as a evil character. What? Yeah, there was one year, a long time ago. I went into work as costume contest as a version of, I was an evil Grim Reaper. I came in first place as the scariest costume. I scared the you-know-what out of a bunch of people. I had it was an expensive cloak too, the full hooded, heavy canvas cloak, cotton cloak. The only thing I didn't have was the scepter. But I had this very, very good, very rather expensive skeletal mask that I added some paint to, some black and grays, and really shadowed it up. And the hood just covered my whole head, and it's the kind of, I had the skeleton, these real nice skeletal looking gloves that gave you skeletal hands, and it's one of those things where you kind of, if you're looking down, you can't see the face, and as you raise your head, you can see, and the first thing you see is a skeleton, and of course I was playing it up and moving slow. Nobody knew it was me. Couldn't see me, but that was the last time I was a scary character, and ever since then I realized that Halloween is not a joke. Really. It's really not. I mean, we got all these movies out there, things like, what is the new one? There's a new, is that still out? Ouija board? Is that still out there? If you've got a Ouija board in your house, and I'm not being superstitious, but I'm telling you this flat out, throw it away. Get rid of it. I mean, that stuff really is based on some really evil, demonic, mystical SHIITCH type of stuff. You don't want to mess around with that. I can't tell you the number of stories that people have said about Ouija boards. Don't move it. Well, I'm not moving it. Well, you are moving it. Well, somebody's moving it, but it ain't the people in the room that's playing the game that's moving it. And that's for real, folks. There's no such thing as ghost, as we like to think of ghost. Casper the Friendly Ghost doesn't exist, but there are demons. God told us about that. So that's what I firmly believe. Don't play with stuff like that. You never know what you're going to get into, and you're going to be highly sorry if you do. One of the things I'm watching lately is that new series Exorcist, and well, I don't know if I'm going to. I'm not going to spoil it, but there is a spoiler alert on that. This past week's episode was rather enlightening. And I got to say, I really wasn't watching it that closely to really pay attention, but this last episode, as the episode was winding down, it hit me, and I guessed before it was actually revealed, what was revealed about Gina Davis's character. And thinking back, it was highly predictable. If you just if you just let yourself go mind numb, you wouldn't predict it. But if you think about the previous 3 episodes, you'd think, oh my God, that's so predictable. But in any case, that's that. Got some other stuff that's predictable. Well, I don't know. Maybe you didn't predict this. I sure as hell didn't predict this. And this is about the millennials. If you've got a millennial in your house, they should be listening to this after we get back. You're not going to want to miss it. Trust me.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
603-835-3226. That's the number to call should you wish to join me here on this Freedom Friday morning, October the 28th in the year of our Lord 2016. It is Halloween weekend. Yes, this is the weekend where people, get to dress up and do all kinds of crazy things and get away with it because it's Halloween. Because you can do things in a costume that you could not do normally otherwise in your everyday life, because people would find out that it was you. Well, There is something out there for you millennials that you need to watch out for. And this is one of those things when I saw the headline, I'm like, well, I didn't really think that this was something real. Because I'd never experienced it, never knew anybody who experienced it. Something called hand, foot, and mouth disease. Now, isn't that a disease that I think cows get? Well, evidently humans get it too. And there's a bunch of stories today about millennials. There's even a story about Americans are dying faster, including millennials. But I'll get to that in just a second. I mean, I'm loaded up with this stuff about millennials need to pay attention to this and listen to this, because this is, and it's not an international phenomenon. You know, worldwide there are some similarities in cultures with millennials. I mean, in the industrialized world, in the advanced countries, you know, there's a similarity in millennials. You know, they all have their cell phones and, you know, smartphones, and they're very wired to technology. It doesn't matter if you're in Sweden or if you're in France or if you're in South Africa or Japan or the USA or even Brazil. The millennials are this high tech generation, and that's true the world over wherever high tech is readily available. But there's something else that is kind of unique to the Northern Hemisphere. I should say the Northwestern Hemisphere. In other words, North America. To be more specific, the US of A. Now, I don't know why this is. Well, in any case, we got KRON, cron4.com. In the Bay Area, from the Bay Area, which is, you know, for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda, that would be San Francisco Bay, in San Francisco area. But out of there comes this story about a new epidemic. 3 colleges, these are institutes of higher learning, and people should know better in these places, but evidently not. Hand, foot, and mouth disease pops up at 3 U.S. college campuses. Campi. It's a painful disease that normally affects children. Again, I didn't know that either. Didn't know it. But in recent months, it has popped up at U.S. universities outside of the Bay Area. It's called hand, foot, and mouth disease, and 2 Florida universities and the University of Illinois have also reported up to 36 cases in the last couple of months. Well, it'll have to be the couple of months because that's the only time that they've been in session. Now, KRON4 spoke with infectious disease expert at UC Berkeley who says he is not surprised. Not surprised. Wait, this is a disease that is highly preventable with just decent hygiene. And this UC Berkeley guy, University of California, Berkeley, is not surprised. Why is he not surprised by this? Is there something that they're not telling us about you millennials out there? Well, I'm not surprised after learning about, you know, how this thing, it's highly contagious, easily transmittable if you have poor hygiene. Now, I'm not surprised. Have you looked at remember the Occupy Wall Street thing in the various cities? It was a disease-infested mess in those Occupy Wall Street camps. Remember women getting raped there too in those places, accusing people of being raped, and there were drugs rampant. I mean, wherever liberals go, death and destruction follow. You ever notice that? I mean, the hippie types, it's just, well, I guess if you ever put 2 and 2 together, I don't think liberals really like humanity because wherever they go, when they gather, man, all they want to do is try to destroy humanity in some form or fashion. It's really sick. It's really disgusting. It's really anti-human. How can you be a liberal and say you love people or the planet?
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
603-835-3226. That's the number to call should you wish to join me here this Freedom Friday morning here on the Rod Eccles Show. Don't forget, because it is the holiday season kicking off this weekend, officially, unofficially. It's no longer Thanksgiving. It's now Halloween kicks off the holiday season. You want to scare a liberal? Get him my book, The Conservative Ecclesiastes. Available as a Kindle download over on Amazon.com. The Book of Ecclesiastes, Conservative Wisdom. It's a quick read. It's good stuff. Well, it's good stuff because, yeah, I wrote it, so it has to be good stuff, right? In any case, back to you millennials. There's a problem with you guys. Why this expert says that he's not surprised about hand, foot, mouth disease appearing at a couple of campuses or a few campuses across the country. According to the National Institutes of Health, about 200,000 people in the U.S. get the disease each year, but Dr. Fenyoung Liu, Liu, an infectious disease expert at UC Berkeley, says a lot more than that carry the viruses associated with the disease. He said this represents a silent epidemic because people don't know that they have the virus, and we don't know that these people have the virus, Dr. Liu has said. Well, and evidently it's a very painful thing. I've never really known anybody to have had it, at least not that I know of, but it looks like a bunch of mosquito bites. You know, it's just on the hands and the feet, and I guess those sores are so painful. They don't get pussy or anything, from what I understand, but they get very painful that you can't walk, or because they're on your feet, bottom of your feet. You can't walk, you can't pick things up. If you get it on your mouth, around your mouth, in your mouth? Is that going to prevent you from eating and drinking? I don't know. You better take some heavy-duty codeine-laced Tylenol, right? But luckily, this one student says, luckily I don't live in the dorms, so that I feel like it will help me by not living in the dorms, but even if you don't live in the dorms, you live with and around other people. So it's in the dorms is where this thing is easily spread. Now, you got to ask, well, why is that? Well, dailymail.co.uk, dailymail.com, basically. Oh, boy. This is our America, folks. Millennials are turning away from soap. The soap sales plunge as young people opt for more hygienic hand wash. Mintel has found sales of soap, especially soap bars, in the U.S. fell by over 2% last year. The decline was mostly marked in young people aged between 18 and 24. Half of U.S. consumers believe soaps are covered in germs after use, especially the soap bars, obviously. Instead, consumers are opting to not use soap or use liquid hand soap instead. So millennials are using less soap. Do you think maybe that might be contributing to, certain types of communicable diseases? They're not as... I know we can we can be overly hygienic sometimes. I mean, I know we got all this antibacterial this, antibacterial that, and you think you can have a bacteria-free home because that's what you got to do for your kid to keep them safe, and not realizing you're actually probably doing more harm to your kid's immune system by having such a pristinely clean home. Look, there's something, but that's changing too. There's also stories here, and I got a ton of stuff about you dirty little millennials. There's a story here about millennials are the least organized, least hygienic generation in generations, basically. In other words, you guys don't clean up after yourselves. You don't clean your rooms. You don't clean your your homes or your apartment. You don't clean your dorms. Millennials, I guess, they're calling it the dirty generation now. You guys are getting a nickname called the dirty generation. Do you realize that, you millennials? Now, I'm not making this up. I wish I was, but it's beginning to explain a lot about that particular generation, and those are the kids that are born between 1980 and 98. I don't know why they cut it off at 98 instead of going to 2000, but but roughly a 20-year span between 80 and 2000. That's you guys. So that means that you guys are what? You're roughly 16, 18 to 35-ish, 35, 36 right now. So you're mid-30s, 20s to mid-30s, basically. So most of you are adults. And many of you millennials have already been out there living on your own in some fashion or form. For at least, well, you probably aren't living on your own. You're still living at home in mom and dad's basement and causing their house to be a mess. They're also considered to be employers have a problem with millennials too because they also tend to be the most disorganized. I got the story here. Disorganization of millennials is blocking many from getting and keeping jobs. You're disorganized. You're a mess. Look, I'm not making... This is stuff that you so-called... the so-called experts and college professors that you learn from, they're the ones that doing all the sociology studies of you guys, of you millennials, because you're a very unique age group. We've never had a generation quite like you before, so they want to study you to death. And they're finding out all this stuff about you. So it's not me, this old fart over here, well, you're an old fart generation. No, it's not me that's doing it. You're doing it to yourself. And these people are just finding this stuff out, and they're telling you, and you want to try to probably blame somebody else for it. But and no, obviously this is a generalization as a generation as a whole. It doesn't mean each and every individual fits this pattern. But you got to look around and ask yourself, well, geez, do I fit the pattern? Am I a mess? Do I shun soap for whatever reason? I don't know. Well, this is all the stuff. I'm not saying that. Well, yeah, I am saying it. Millennials are filthy. Again, look at the Occupy Wall Street movement. Who populated the Occupy Wall Street movement? Well, it was generally, overwhelmingly, millennial age protesters. It wasn't baby boomers. There were some old hippies out there, yes. It wasn't Generation X. It was mostly you millennials. And you left places a total wreck and mess. Yeah, I know you go through college, and a lot of college, while they're in college, most people probably go through the phase of just being totally filthy and disgusting. But for some reason, I guess previous generations were not that bad after all. They weren't all Animal House. But I guess the millennial generation is, maybe they've watched the movie Animal House all too often. You guys are using less soap. You're using less detergent, or excuse me, less deodorant as well. In fact, there's a story here. Millennials find their cell phones more important than deodorant. Again, something I'm not making up. In fact, let me find this story here. Here's it in the paper pile. Let's pull it up. We've got here on EccentricTV.com. The story is, study millennials find smartphones more important than deodorant. Data reveals, data. In other words, people gather all this data. They compile all the numbers into what they call data. Not the Star Trek character, but, the real stuff here. Data reveals young adults value their hygiene less than their cell phones. Millennials seem to have their priorities mixed up according to data that reveals young adults believe a smartphone is more important than their deodorant or their hygiene. Yes, indeed. I don't know. Where's that sound coming from? You got to stop. I don't want to hear about any favorite movie. You know what it is? It's those stupid pop-up things, videos on some of these channels. I hate that automatically play. I will never have anything automatically play on my website. It's annoying. Not to mention sometimes it screws up some people's computers. Anyway, the Bank of America Trends in Consumer Mobility report interviewed 1,000 adults, asking them to list how they value different objects in their everyday lives. The results, however, have revealed a peculiar outcome. The study found that only 87% of millennials said that deodorant was essential to them, while 93% of those interviewed said smartphones were essential to them. So, personal hygiene is taking a backseat to your cell phone, evidently, millennials. That's quite telling. I don't look. You can't. Is Bernie? Are you guys gonna remember the movie? Eddie Murphy's movie. Well, no, millennials don't know this one, but Eddie Murphy's movie, Coming to America. Arsenio Hall was co-starring. He was his best. What is he? His name was Simi. Well, Eddie Murphy was a prince of an African. In fact, his dad, the king, was James Earl Jones, and Eddie Murphy was the son. He was the prince. And Eddie Murphy, his character, the prince, couldn't even bathe himself. I mean, he couldn't even wipe his own ass, just to be blunt. That's how pampered he was, because there was a scene in the movie that, what, did you have to go to the bathroom? Royal ass wipers. I mean, somebody else had to wipe his butt. And that was a job, I guess. But he couldn't even bathe himself. People had to bathe him for him. He didn't have to pick up the soap. So is that what millennials are expecting out of the government? Is to have bum wipers and bathers paid for by governments to keep them clean? If you look around in the male sector, they don't like to shave either. And not only do they not like to shave, they don't seem to like to trim their hair either. The beard. They don't like to keep it kempt. There's nothing wrong with having a beard, but millennials tend to have this scruffy look all the time. And they think that looks good. I don't know why or how, but they think it looks good. It doesn't. You look a mess. In fact, if you clean yourself up, you're going to be way ahead of the game of your counterparts, your peers, because they're not. The all natural look is not in. Did you hear? I heard a couple of days ago about The unibrow is back in fashion. Like, says who? There is no... Well, it's also a millennial thing. The millennials are thinking, well, they don't want to have to be worried about, trimming so much and primping their facial hair and other hair. They don't have to be worried about shaving and things like that, because they're not overly into exercise and being buff and that type of thing. So they don't need to show off the body. So they want to go all natural, which includes not plucking the unibrow into two distinct eyebrows, but letting it grow. Just something mean and evil about unibrows. I don't think that's sexy at all. When was the last time unibrows were sexy? Not in this country. No.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
Six 603-835-3226. Let me give you a little hint. If you're a millennial and you want to stand out in the crowd, looking for a job, well, might I suggest, one, you actually use deodorant. Two, well, let's just go to CNBC.com, shall we? CNBC News. Let me give you a little tip. If you're a millennial listening to me right now, and you should be listening to me if you're a millennial, and if you know a millennial, you should have them tune in to this program right now because I'm going to help them get a job. If you've got a millennial living in your basement or your attic or in their old childhood bedroom, turn them on to this right now because I can't find a job. Well, here's why. If you want to get ahead of the curve, if you want to be in the top percentile of your age group when it comes to looking for a job, then according to CNBC, now this is CNBC, folks. This isn't Fox News. This is CNBC. According to CNBC, the surprising reason millennials won't get hired, and I happen to agree with this because if somebody comes into my office looking unkempt during an interview, they ain't getting hired. But millennials are famously unemployed and underemployed, but the reason may not entirely be the so-so job market or gaps in their college education. These kids, these millennials are overeducated in the wrong areas, in ridiculous areas, in useless areas of knowledge, but they're overeducated nonetheless. They have all these master's degrees and going for PhDs because they couldn't find a job, so they stayed in college instead. Isn't that... so you can't find a job to earn money, so you go and spend more money. I never did understand that. I can't find a job. I guess I'll just stay in college and get my master's degree. Okay, now you would think off the top of your head, well, master's degree means that he'll have a better time finding a better job, right? No. It just means that he spends thousands of dollars more. But it could be the reason why you're not getting a job is it could be body odor. In the Bank of America Trends and Consumer Mobility Report released, I don't know what kind of report that is, never heard of it. Released earlier this week, surveyors asked 1,000 adults about the importance of various items in their daily lives. Among millennials, 93% said a cell phone was very important, making it the most important item for that age group. Less than 87% said deodorant was of daily importance. More people said that their cell phone was more important to them in their daily use than their toothbrush, for crying out loud. It's a departure from older generations. Among all adults surveyed, deodorant and smartphones were deemed equally important in daily life, but smartphones were not deemed more important than personal hygiene. You guys are stinking. Other issues that millennials have in finding a job, according to this report, is for males, the lack of trimming, grooming is actually what it says. Male grooming has gone out the window. You show up with your hair a mess, your beard unkempt, nobody's going to hire you. Wrinkled clothing. Can't tell you how many times what was it? Last week there was a young man. He said he was off for a job interview, and I remember his friend looking at him and saying, "Dude, you got to go and change." He was wearing a god-awful suit that was wrinkled, and he thought it was okay to wear this to a job interview. Thankfully, I think he listened to his friend and he went and changed his clothes. But I don't think he was going to bother to comb his hair. His hair was uncombed. I'm sorry. You're not in a movie. You're not some Hollywood actor or superstar. No, you people you gotta clean up your act here. That's how you're going to find a job. Seriously. That's how you're going to beat out the other people who are who look better than you and frankly use the deodorant. I mean, it's okay to hang around the house maybe on the weekend and not put the stick to the arm or something to the armpit, but you don't have to use what are some of the Right Guard or something. You could use Tom's of Maine. I often use Tom's, all natural. You can use, even if you just use baking soda. Baking soda, a little bit of salt, I understand, works wonders. But not to use anything? Eesh. Especially in the summer. You know, you think that odor stays in your shirt? And no, it doesn't. Trust me. I've been around plenty of people who don't like to use deodorant. It's not pleasant. You want to get away from them as soon as possible. And if they're looking for a job, you're not going to hire them. Plain and simple.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Welcome back, all of you wonderful ecclesiastites and you beautiful liberty lovers all across the globe. Yes, it is I coming to you live this Friday morning from the Bunkerized studio.
Welcome to Freedom Friday.
Yes, indeed. Friday means that we've made it to the weekend. We've worked our tails off all week, and now we're about ready to celebrate what freedom that we have left. Indeed. The call-in number this morning is 603-835-3226. That is a toll-free number for most calling plans around the planet. And I say around the planet because this program has gotten calls from Great Britain, Australia, Germany, and even Israel. So thank you guys. I think they're military people. You know, if anybody knows that I'm a huge military supporter. Absolutely. And my father served over 21 years in the U.S. Air Force. So, yes, technically I'm a military brat. What you going to do about it? Yeah, I didn't think so. Nobody going to do nothing about it. Proud to be a military brat. In any case, we got a little treat for you this morning. On the line with me right now from Project Veritas, Mr. James O'Keefe. Good morning, James. How are you?
Good morning. Great to be with you this morning.
You know, we have got a lot of stuff that you, as well as WikiLeaks, are dropping on the American people that relate to this current election. Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, and all their minions and goings on. And I got to ask, I mean, you came to light a few years ago when it was about the Planned Parenthood stuff. Let me just ask you really quick. This is stuff that takes a long time to put into place. What made you want to do this?
It takes thank you for bringing that up. I mean, this took us over a year. I mean, most journalists do 5 stories a day. Most media is so superficial and fast-paced. This took us a year to infiltrate. We had a network of 8 undercover journalists infiltrating this nexus, this dark web of political consultants that go to the White House. I mean, we had to pose as overseas financial contributors. We had to have pose as a donor, have the donor have an intern. It was like a full-scale intelligence operation. What made me want to do it? What motivated me to do it? Because I understand the only way to really get to the truth is to dig deep. It's not easy, and sometimes it's not fun. But I know that it's important to do, and somebody has to do it. And ultimately, the victory, the ultimate prize, is a great story that really has now become a little mini October surprise. I mean, in fact, some people are saying it's just as big as WikiLeaks. You're seeing and you're hearing and you're almost smelling the rot, the cultural corruption, the illegality. All these things are on tape for the world to see. So it's a lot of work. It's more work than anything else that I've ever done. I think it's the biggest story we've ever done because of the timing, and I think it's having an impact.
Now, basically, you're like the old Woodward and Bernstein. You probably would have fit in very nicely back in the early 70s, but you probably weren't even born at that particular point in time.
Right.
But so you're the Woodstein and Bernstein of our day, and yet you're getting heat that they didn't get for telling the truth. I mean, how are you guys dealing with that?
It's not easy. You know, we get attacked and vilified and libeled and slandered and defamed constantly. Although some of the journalists actually, you know, the New York Times had a positive piece, CNN, Anderson Cooper was defending us. It's hard, but the most important thing is you keep going. When you're going through hell, you just keep doing it. And I've been doing this now for 8 years. I've done the story on Acorn, Planned Parenthood, NPR, and now this. Woodward and Bernstein wouldn't even be able to do what they did these days. It's just the climate has changed. It's journalism is now become about access and about protecting the government. And frankly, back in the 70s, these corporations, and by the way, I was born in the mid 80s. These media corporations they have pressure put on them by the government. So, like, let's say, for example, NBC News has a bad story on Hillary Clinton. They call up NBC Universal's chief executive officer and say, who do you think you are? What are you doing? They use strong-arm tactics. So, to illustrate this point, when we broke this story a week ago, the day before I broke the story, I had television exclusives lined up. I'm not going to say the names of the television stations, not to break confidence, but you'd know the names. And at the last minute, they spiked the story. They did not run the story because they were afraid of the retaliation that would be put against them by a future Hillary Clinton Department of Justice if they reported these stories. In other words, a lot of the media companies are not willing to do the job because they're afraid of being strong-armed by their own government. It is unbelievable, the world that we live in these days. And so someone like me, who I'm not a publicly traded media company. I have a small nonprofit organization. I don't have the same concerns. Everyone else is saying you should fear for your life. You should fear for your life. Well, okay. What I'm mostly concerned about is the government using the attorney general or attorneys general of various states to come down at me. So this is the concern. And then the other concern is access. People don't want to burn their bridges with a future Hillary Clinton administration, so of course they're not going to break a big Woodward and Bernstein style story.
Yeah. Now you've had your freedom and your very life threatened recently with this recent storyline. Do you take any of that seriously, or do you think it's just part of the job?
I think it's probably just part of the job. You don't really think about it. We have security. I mean, we've upgraded our security. We've had a lot of generous people all over the country who've sent us in checks. I mean, we get thousands of checks to fund more investigations. We're crowdsource funded. So we upgraded our security. We have a great secure headquarters in the New York metro area. We have people who are now protecting us. So I don't really think about that, to be honest with you. A lot of other people are worried about that type of thing. I think if you do good things, I think you'll be protected. And I've got a great team, and we've got a staff of 30 people here. And I don't really think about that. I don't worry about my life or my welfare. I love what it is that we do here, and I think it's important, and there's a lot of people counting on us. When you get phone calls all day from people all over the country who call you up from, let's say, Kansas City and say, I'm pleading with you, tears coming out of their eyes, I need you to come to my neighborhood and expose this. You begin to realize that people are depending on you to do this. There's no one else doing it. There's nobody else that has the ability to do it. So for whatever reason, I know the reasons. They're either it's fear or access, or their hands are tied, or they don't want to lose their job. So Veritas, our organization, Project Veritas, has become sort of a clearinghouse for grassroots citizen journalism and undercover journalism. So we have a huge responsibility to do all that, and I'm not really concerned about, my physical welfare.
One of the things that, you were put on the map with the Planned Parenthood debacle a few years ago, and now you're back in the limelight with a lot of the stuff that you found out about Hillary Clinton and the people and the Obama administration, really. What are probably the one or two biggest things that you have seen in your investigation that you're bringing out right now? What probably surprised you the most?
What surprised me the most was the violence, was the inducement of violence. The voter fraud, I thought, was going to be a bigger story. And for those of your listeners who haven't seen the videos, the first two were about the inducement of violence, and the second one was about voter fraud. So these people were taking money from the Hillary Clinton campaign, funneling it through various subgroups, going out into the country and fomenting violence at rallies, and they were bragging about it. They were bragging about the fact that we want to create anarchy and foment violence and get punched in the face. And it turns out it was Hillary's idea to have people dress up in these costumes in order to get punched. And this was a bigger storyline than even voter fraud, because it was undeniable. It was something that has happened. And a lot of these protests that you saw around the country where people got punched and bloodied, that was all a manufactured sort of thing where people were put in that situation. So that was the most shocking thing to me, to see the language that they were using and how they were describing it, saying things like, we don't care about the law, we just got to win this mother effer at all costs, hiring mentally ill people to do this agitprop at protests. It's disgusting. I mean, it's repugnant. You watch these tapes, the way these people behave. And Bob Creamer, the man who's the sort of nexus, who has now resigned because of our video, has been to the White House 340 times. He's met with the president 47 times. This is not a low-level guy. This is like the beating heart of the Democratic Party. So these are high-level people. These are connected people. And these are people who have now been fired. And the videos were brought up in the presidential debates. They asked Hillary Clinton about them, and she sort of ran away. I think this is her Achilles heel. I think there's no denying this. If we had a press corps who actually cared enough to I don't go to the White House briefings. If we had a press corps who would put pressure on the administration and ask them questions, instead the press corps puts pressure on me. So we don't live in a just world, and we don't live in a just media. But we've done our part. Videos have gotten 15 million views on YouTube and been trending and become sort of a phenomenon.
Now, what you have seen so far, do you think voter fraud is a big issue?
I think it is a big issue. It's hard to get on tape until the election day. And what we did find is in the second video, we have a video of this man named Scott Fovel who's bragging about how he can travel across state lines and commit all types of fraud. He says he can bust people around. He says he can give them fake documents to do this. So that was shocking. And in fact, some people are saying that the Wisconsin Attorney General is going to press charges against him. We'll see if that happens. But people say voter fraud doesn't exist. In the video, you see someone who's actively bragging about doing it, connects us to a man named Cesar Vargas from this group called Voces de la Frontera, and he says that it's illegal, but they're definitely going to be doing it in the midterms in 2018. So this type of thing, no matter what I get on tape, people are going to say I'm a liar. There's no such. It's a fraud. Nothing to see here, folks. I mean, it's on videotape, and it's good enough for the Trump sex audio tape to have just a comment from someone. It's good enough in David Corn's 47% video, Mitt Romney, for them to just say something. But here you have criminal conspiracy. You have willingness to break the law, and you have tying it right to the White House, and I think it's a lot stronger than what you've seen in the past.
Oh, it is powerful stuff that we've heard and seen coming out of Project Veritas. Now you're not done. Do you have more videos to release before the election?
We do. We're putting out a little one today, and then we have some tapes next week of some things that were said inside some of these fundraisers, and some comments. Some of them are racial in nature. The media tends to care more about those types of stories than they do about, for example, voter fraud or these types of things. So we try to play the media at their own game. So we have some things coming out next week. We think they'll be very powerful. But ultimately, it's up to the people of this country if they are specifically when you have video, when you have smoking gun video evidence, it's important to use that and to send that out to everyone you know, and to put pressure on the government and put pressure on the agencies in the government to enforce the laws of this country. We no longer live in a nation of laws. We have a nation of political will, which is very bad. There's no equal justice under law. People just pursue ends that serve their own political goals. And that's a very dangerous world that we live in. So the only counterweight is a citizenry who's educated and can put these things out there and put pressure on the people that matter.
Now, how can people find out more about Project Veritas? Where should they go?
Our website, projectveritas.com or projectveritasaction.com. Projectveritasaction.com, you can see all these videos and you can share them, and you can donate to our cause. We're a non-for-profit organization, so we could use the help.
All right. Well, James O'Keefe, I know you got to run. Thank you so much for taking some time out to be with us here this morning on the Rod Eccles Show. I really appreciate it. Very good work that you're doing out there. Keep it up, and we'll pray for your safety and that you keep finding out the truth and are able to put it out there.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. James O'Keefe of the Project Veritas, folks. Man, this guy is on fire, bringing out the truth. We'll be right back.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
(603-835-3226). That's the number to call should you wish to join me here live here on the Rod Eccles Show. Geez, good grief. What, do we have an issue with the board this morning? Come on, Spreaker. You press a button and a button should work, should it not? Well, you know, it's not the first time things have gone awry here on the Rod Eccles Show. On with technology, just my continued war with technology. I still intend to win the war, even though I lose quite a few battles with technology. Remember, it only takes one battle to win an entire war. That's all. You don't have to go through a whole ton of battles to win a war. You could lose like more often than you win, like George Washington did in the Revolutionary Army. They lost more often than they won, but what really counted was the last one. That's the battle that always counts. Is your last battle always counts the most? Yes. So George Washington didn't win a lot of battles during the Revolutionary War. In fact, he probably was. What's one of the sayings that George Washington was the greatest retreat general in history? He knew how to retreat better than anybody. And to a certain degree, there's a little bit of truth in that because he had to do it a number of times in order to save his army from being totally obliterated by the British. So they could live and fight another day. And that was a smart move because what really counted was the last battle. That won the war. That was it. It only takes one battle. And, I think we can probably relate that to the election process. It only takes, we're in this battle. We're in a war for the actual soul of this country. We're no longer in the top 10 of the freest nations on the planet. And one of the reasons why is you're seeing from WikiLeaks and Project Veritas and James O'Keefe is this whole notion of this ruling class and ruling elite to think they can get away with and do anything that they damn well please. And simply because they believe that they can do whatever they damn well please, that they're going to do whatever they damn well please. And then they try to challenge you to catch them. And then when you do catch them, they try to challenge you to prove that you caught them. Even after you get them on tape. Oh, that's not true. Your eyes are lying to you. That didn't really happen. Not at all. Didn't really happen. Yes, it did. They were taking bribes, giving bribes. They were fomenting illegal activity. They were assisting in illegal activity. They were forming the plans and planning illegal activity. That's collusion. That's corruption. Yeah, what's the other C word? They put the mob in jail. People who are in the mob for doing stuff like this. The mafia. But these people get away with doing. Yeah. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if James O'Keefe actually uncovered the Clintons were directly involved in murdering people. Yeah, I said it. Not that they would ever be prosecuted, because people would probably then still blame James O'Keefe for the Clintons murdering somebody back in the 90s. I'm just saying, folks. I pray for that young man's safety daily, but God's truth tellers are not always. What's the old saying? You shoot the messenger. The one who's delivering the message, instead of going after the people who caused the message or wrote the message in the first place. That's the way things often work out, right? Shouldn't.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
(603) 835-3226. And that's the number to call should you wish to join yours truly here live on this Freedom Friday edition of the Rod Eccles Show. Don't forget that you should follow moi, yours truly, on social media. Yeah, don't forget, the rodeccles.net website. It's this little thing that people are liking a lot lately, rodeccles.net. And it has the links that you need to all my social media accounts like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Google Plus and Pinterest. Or is it Pinterest? Is that how you pronounce it? Tomato, Pinterest. I like Pinterest. You know what? I got to tell you, I am like a lot of people that are kind of addicted to Pinterest. Now, Pinterest, yes, it is still the vast majority of Pinterest users are still women, but the fastest growing, from what I understand, the fastest growing segment on Pinterest, believe it or not, are middle-aged men. Because there's all kinds of great stuff and ideas on there. I mean, if you want to, I have a woodworking board over there. I mean, if you want to get free plans or ideas for plans or furniture ideas, if you like to work, woodworking, Pinterest is a great place, because otherwise, you've got to go out to the web and Google and Bing it and all that kind of stuff, and you're still not getting half the stuff that you're getting over on Pinterest. It's an aggregate. I mean, if you just pick a subject, put in a search subject on the Pinterest search, and you will get stuff like you've never thought you could get before. In image, and if you want to find out more about what they're talking about or just demonstrating, of course, you can get that information as too. It's kind of like it's the Google of pictures, basically. If, people post pictures of subject matter of just about anything under the sun. Even if I'll admit it, I did it. If you want to take Pinterest has, you could find, if you're a guy, you could search for, brunette female models. I did. And it was I didn't get to the end of it. Just saying. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's I'm surprised somebody hasn't come up with a way to use Pinterest as a dating site, to tell you the truth. But somebody probably has. But I do have this slight addiction to Pinterest. I visited it, I visited purposely just for looking at it, once a day, just to see what's new in the areas that I'm interested in. Of course, I'm constantly posting stuff to my Pinterest boards, especially the Rod Eccles Show Pinterest board, and you should definitely follow that board over there. If you're listening to this program, you should be following that, because that's where I, for lack of a better word or phrase, I dump a lot of pictures and new memes over there, and so it's a lot. It's a lot of fun too, and And it's historical board because you can go back in later, relook at some ideas and then get rid of some of this of your pins that you don't no longer interest you, or just leave them there if you want. And it's a great catalog. It's a virtual catalog. People used to take scrapbook. It's a virtual scrapbook. That's exactly what it is. Now I understand that there is a couple of competitors out there. One I'm familiar with is I think it's Home Life. I think is what it's called. I don't know. There's a couple of competitors. What I am looking for, though, is an alternative to Twitter. And no, that's not Tumblr. I do not have a Tumblr account. Tumblr is too sketchy for me. Tumblr will allow just about anything. There's very few. Well, I mean that's the way they want to run it, and that's probably fine. They're not gonna block you for doing certain. Well, they better not block you, considering what they seem to allow. I mean, hell, they basically allow porn over on Tumblr. I've heard. I don't know how. I don't know. Fully understand how Tumblr works, because I don't use it. I've never recommended it to any of my marketing clients or customers. So I'm not I gotta admit, I'm not that familiar with Tumblr, but I've heard stories about it, and I don't know how you use it, how you can block Tumblr. If you've got kids and you don't want them to see certain things, and you can block them, certain sites, but they may want to use Tumblr. It's a micro-blogging site is what they call it, but they micro-blog just about anything. I don't know how you can filter that stuff out without blocking the whole site, because some of it is just, I've taken a few tours, if you will, virtual tours of Tumblr, and what they have for micro-blogging is what they call this stuff, is shocking. I wonder if Project Veritas has a Tumblr account. Maybe they should. Millennials are attracted to Tumblr. Yeah, they're attracted to Tumblr. In any case, follow me on social media. They're all different. They're not all identical. I don't post the same stuff to every, because some people do. Some companies do that. That's dumb for one. That's lazy for two, and it's death knell for three. Give a reason for people to follow you in different places. Make them different, and I try to do that with all my social media outlets. If it's a different social media, hopefully the content is a little different. Excuse me, stretching here. Stretching on the air live. Yes. Can't get cramps or anything. Sitting in the Freedom Throne. Have to be totally relaxed. Speaking of which, millennials. This is from Bloomberg. Americans are dying. They're dying faster. That includes millennials. In other words, people who predict death for a living have some bad news for all of us. Of course, obviously, none of us are getting out of this life alive. That's 100% certain. And it's not a morbid thought. It's just the way things are. None of us are going to get out of this life. Most of us that are alive today are not going to see the year 2100. Just understand that. And this is why I try to impress upon people. Do you realize that this is the only century? Well, I mean, if the millennial kids, the Generation Z, which were born 2000 and later, this is the only century that they'll know. Because humans don't tend to live more than 100 years. We don't do that. At least not yet. So more than likely, and that's not likely to change unless they can start changing willy-nilly various body parts, including the brain. And the brain is who you are, basically. So it's highly unlikely. The vast majority of us are not going to be around or alive to see the year 2100. That's just a fact. That's not morbid. It's just a fact. However, we don't have to rush it. Death comes for us all, but we don't have to put death on a speeding express train to get to us. You know what I'm saying? To unlock the mystery of when we're going to die, you have to start with something called an actuary. These people are specializing in the study of risk and uncertainty, and members of this 200-year-old profession pore over the data of death to estimate the length of life. Putting aside the spiritual, the crucial information for insurance companies and pension plans, and it's also helpful for planning retirement since we need money to last as long as we live. That's the new crisis point, is because supposedly we're starting to live longer, is that people are outliving their retirement savings funds. So, they think the average person will be retired at 65 or 67 and live to 75. So people plan to be alive until 75, but unfortunately they live to 85. Well, they got 10 years of no money. Some of the things that you have to think when you're planning for your retirement. How do you use it all without using it all before you're used? How do you use it all up before you're all used up? How to prevent that, actually. So in other words, if you're gonna live 20 years into retirement, how do you make your savings last for 20 years without running out? Now, you don't want to take out so little that you don't get to enjoy it, but you don't want to take out so much that if you happen to live past your lifespan, you're going to be dead broke, before you're dead. That's the perfect scenario is the day you die is the day that you spend your last penny. I don't think that's ever happened, but that's the perfect scenario, right? For most people. Spend it all so there's nothing left on the day you die, but not before. Have plenty until the day you die. But nobody knows the day that they're going to die. Maybe the only one that knows that is God above. Well, maybe the devil himself. He may know too, but God above. So the latest best guess for U.S. lifespans comes from a study released this month by the Society of Actuaries. The average 65-year-old American man should die a few months short of his 86th birthday, while the average 65-year-old woman today gets an additional 2 years, just under 88. Wow, that's pretty nice to know. So the old 75 is out the window, huh? Now it's 80, 86, and 88. This new data turns out to be a disappointment. Over the past several years, the health of Americans has deteriorated, particularly that of middle-aged non-Hispanic whites versus white Hispanics, George Zimmerman types, I guess. Among the culprits are drug overdoses, suicide, alcohol poisoning, and liver disease, according to a Princeton University study. Liver disease, I guess this whole hepatitis thing is blowing up, literally. According to a Princeton University study issued last September, partly as a result, the life expectancy for a 65-year-old is now 6 months shorter than last year's actuarial study. Longevity for younger Americans was also affected. A 25-year-old woman last year had a 50-50 chance of reaching age 90. This year, she is projected to fall about 6 months short. The average 25-year-old man is expected to live to 86 years and 11 months, down from 87 years and 8 months in last year's estimates. So in other words, we're doing stuff to ourselves, including you millennials. Well, bad hygiene is part of that, by the way. Just saying. And notice that even in the best scenario, they're not projecting you to live over 100 years. 90 years was it. So again, 95% of us who are alive today are not going to be here in the year 2100. So what are you going to do to leave this planet better, this country better, than when you arrived in it? Electing Hillary Clinton is not a better way to do that, by the way. So it's just not. It's not. Speaking of Hillary Clinton, Reddit users, Reddit, Reddit, Reddit.com, users are declaring war on Hillary's paid internet trolls. Yes, paid internet trolls. We know that she's paying people to do all kinds of stuff. We know that Media Matters and other leftist wings have people sitting at. There's probably people listening now to this program, paying attention to it, writing things down that I say, and reporting things that I say, so that someday, in case I get big enough, they can come back and try to pull stuff out of the archives and say, "Look what he said back then." Well, they've already done it before. I know that they're doing it again, but I don't care. But Reddit users, also known as Redditors, are growing increasingly angry at pro-Hillary Clinton Political Action Committee PACs correct the record over its efforts to promote a pro-Hillary narrative on the site. Redditors are especially, if you notice that these people they want to propagandize every aspect of our lives. They don't want you to be able to go anywhere and not be propagandized to. In fact, they want to force certain places, like radio, to propagandize for them. They don't want you to get away from always having it beat into your psyche, your conscience that, hey, this is the Hillary Clinton's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm not kidding. The fairness doctrine is trying to get if you have a conservative talk show on the radio, the fairness doctrine would dictate that if you talk 30 minutes about one candidate, you got to have somebody else on your show that can give them 30 minutes to talk on the other side. The fairness doctrine. I mean, that's BS. It really. Some of us are old enough to remember the news having to do that. It was the law. They had to give airtime to, on the news, to the opposite view. I don't know how they determined it, but they did. It was on-air editorial. Remember those? They used to have to do that because that was the law. That was part of the fairness doctrine back then. But then, we got rid of that over time. Thank goodness. Wasn't news. It was editorializing and it was propagandizing, and we got rid of it because, well, I don't know, maybe this is what the left wants to bring back. I'm not down with that.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 plus 2 equals Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
603-835-3226 here on this Freedom Friday. Well, outside here in New England, in the good old Granite State, it's not acting like it's enjoying freedom out there. It's kind of a gray, cool, windy, rainy, miserable day. Well, better that it happens during the week than on the weekend for sure. Well, unless, of course, you work on the weekend, then you don't really care that if it's a bad week. But it got Halloween. You don't want the little kiddies running around out there in the cold, rainy weather. Although in some places, I think it's expected to snow over the weekend. I don't know about here, but they probably get. Has Colorado and the Rockies have they gotten 10 feet of snow yet? Last year at this time they had about 10 feet of snow. And I'm only slightly exaggerating. They got, they get walloped. And every year we hear this. The last 11 months, 11 out of the 12 months were the warmest on record as far as this global warming crapola goes, which is a bunch of bunk. Because if that's all that this hottest weather on record ever type of thing has been debunked over and over and over again. We're supposed to be at like 80 degrees on average we're still nowhere near that. The sea level it's risen a minuscule amount. As a matter of fact, at certain times of the year, the sea level has actually gone down. Well, it's because of the drought. Well, you can't really, sometimes you just can't fix stupid. Well, you can never fix stupid. Where do the people think water goes when it evaporates? Well, it goes in the air. It's called evaporation. That's where it is. Moist, but it's not muggy everywhere, so the air is not saturated with all that water. It's just not raining in certain places, which is why some places are drier than others. We still have the same amount of water. There's no more. I don't believe that there's any more water today than there was 100 years ago. We're not, importing it from another planet. So where is it all going? Well, in other words, the Earth has a way of averaging and evening things out across the entire planet. And if one place isn't getting enough rain, someplace else is probably getting too much. That's just the way it works. And in order to keep the sea levels at a constant level, Mother Nature regulates that with polar ice cap ice. Which is why in some of the years that they claim, some of the sea level measurements have actually dropped. Well, look at the shore erosion, Rod. Look at well, there's always been erosion. You're not going to stop that. That has nothing to do with man-made climate change. I love that kind of stuff when they talk about, oh yeah, look, all the erosion on the seashores, man. That's caused by. It's like hurricanes. Them trying to say now that hurricanes are the fault of man.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill, a breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help, just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Hello there, this is Nat King Cole, wishing you all a happy and a Merry Christmas.
The joy of living is in the giving. So let's give lots of toys for tots.
Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back. Hour number 3 here on the Rod Eccles Show. I am still the Rod of Truth, the Truth Hammer, good old L Rod here on this Friday morning. Yes, indeed.
Welcome
we have made it.
Freedom Friday.
We made it. Good thing that you are here. Everybody's having some fun on Friday, Freedom Friday. We'll talk about just about anything that we don't normally talk about during the week. All we have to do is just try to keep it clean. That's all that I ask for. 603-835-3226. F-16 flyby. Salute. There we go. Hey, look, we talked about millennial hygiene or lack thereof, so we'll talk about just about anything on a Friday. Will we not? And if you're a millennial, clean up your act, please. I'm kind of a neat freak, and I think the older I get, the more minimalist and neater I get. I just think that a nice, clean slate is very comfortable, very homey. You don't have to. Don't get me wrong. There are certain types of decor that can be rather inviting. The cottage look can be very inviting. I don't understand the bohemian look. I mean, that's just fabric and tapestries everywhere. To me, you know what I see when I see a room like that? I see all that fabric that gets dusty and moldy and has to be washed at least twice a year. That's what I see. I know it's probably, some people will say, well, that's not how it works. But yeah, it is how it works. You gotta wash that stuff. Do you not wash tapestries and curtains and rugs and don't you clean those things? Well, most people will clean the rug. They'll vacuum it at least once a week. Well, my ex-mother-in-law used to vacuum literally daily, every day. Had to be vacuumed. I just remember I used to think that was just totally insane, but the average person probably vacuums maybe twice a month, once every other week. But once a week is a good number. But you don't vacuum the stuff on your walls? The fabric on your walls. How do you take care of that? You don't vacuum your curtains. Can I also say that I'm sick of vacuum cleaners that come with all these cleaning devices. What's the new one? Well, I have one actually, the Shark steamer, but they come with all these useless attachments, and they never give you anything to store the attachments in or on. So you don't have anywhere to put them. You end up shoving them in a plastic bag or something and hanging them out on a nail or a hook in the closet. It's just, it seems to me like every time they want to come out with a new product, they want that single product to do everything. And in order for it to do everything, you got to have all these stupid attachments. Just one product will clean everything in your house. Well, no, it doesn't, because you got to put on all these funky attachments in order for it to do certain things. And you rarely ever use it. I've never ever used the curtain vacuum attachment on any vacuum cleaner. Have you? But you don't have any place to put them because you can't. There's no place in the vacuum cleaner on the cleaner itself. It doesn't come with a storage container or hanger or anything like that. So what do you do with all that crap? When you product designers are out there trying to design ergonomically a product for the American consumer, one of the biggest pet peeves of people, I know it's one of mine, is having all these additional attachments, most of which you will never ever use, and having nowhere to put them. You're not helping. You're not helping to clear the clutter, but they add all of this stuff so they can add what is called perceived value. So a vacuum cleaner without all these attachments has a perceived value of, say, of $100. But if you spend like $30 in manufacturing costs to add all these attachments, so all of a sudden that perceived value of that same vacuum cleaner is now $500. But it's not a more valuable machine. It's still the same damn machine. It's just got all these useless attachments to it. Just saying. And that it's not just vacuum cleaner. It's a number of different. Some household kitchen appliances will come with all kinds of attachments that you'll never use, but yet you pay for it. Just say, you could say the same thing. We could say the same thing about politicians. We never use most of them because they're useless. Or we actually wish that they were actually useless because some of them are pretty successful at doing things that we don't want them to do. But that makes them pretty useless. Really wish we could make some of these people like Hillary Clinton more useless because they are useless. Just wish that their policies were not enacted. They weren't enabled to enact their policies. Many of the. Do you realize if we could just cut out regulation in this country, useless regulation, overlapping regulation, if Congress just took its power back, we'd be much better off. The United States is no longer in the top 10 freest nations on the planet, and it isn't really due to laws that Congress has set or made or passed. It's a lot of regulation. It's rules and regulations. The government just comes in by fiat from a particular. Hey, you can't. Is there a law against you filling in a part of the wetlands in your backyard? No, there's no law. Congress passed no law against you being able to do that. But the EPA has passed regulation that says that you can't. So it's a lot of that kind of stuff that goes on that really gets people's galls. It galls people because you can't do anything without regulation. And the regulation, unfortunately, sometimes carries a heavier weight than the law. In other words, you can go to jail for a longer period of time sometimes for breaking a regulation than a law. You realize that? And that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not. It's just not. Maybe we should turn some of our laws into regulations, and that way, like lying to Congress shouldn't be against the law. It should be against regulation. And maybe then, people like Hillary would be going to jail faster and more often. Because hell, you can break the law, but damn it, you are not going to get away with breaking regulations. Nope. Government will track you down to the ends of the earth. Track you down and bring you to regulatory justice. You broke the law? Oh, no big deal. You'll break the law every day. But don't you dare ever to break a regulation. Oh, no. We're coming after you if you do that. Oh, yeah. You can bet it. You can bet your life on it. Take that to the bank. Oh, wait, you can't take it to the bank because we've regulated that you can't take that to the bank. So if you try to take it to the bank, that means you're going to break a regulation, which means we're coming after you. Just saying, folks. That's the truth. It is the truth in how they treat this stuff. Back to the Reddit users declaring war on Hillary's paid trolls, internet trolls. Reddit, which describes itself as a source for what's new and popular on the web, is divided into thousands of subreddits, which the site describes as sub-communities. Each of these sub-communities focus on a specific topic. Whether or not a post does well on Reddit, and consequently how large of an audience it reaches, largely depends on how many upvotes and downvotes it receives. Now, to correct the record is open about its efforts to combat lies and misleading narrative about Secretary Hillary Clinton. That's called Correct the Record on Reddit, which it devoted $1 million to the cause. A coordinated effort to downvote a post could keep it from reaching a large audience on the site. Now, due to the anonymity the site provides its users, however, it's impossible to know the extent of Correct the Record's Reddit campaign, but some Redditors are nevertheless sure that the pack is actively trying to suppress negative stories about Hillary Clinton from the Podesta emails. And one community where Correct the Record appears to be unpopular is the subreddit r/WikiLeaks, which has more than 60,000 subscribers and is devoted to WikiLeaks-related news and topics. It looks like Correct the Record is out in force and getting smarter. Don't waste your time in arguing, just dig, one user posted Wednesday, adding, don't let them eat up your time. Get to work digging or spreading. They're wasting cash on man hours. Don't let them eat up yours. So they're out there. Look, they've figured out how to work the internet. Republicans still haven't figured this out yet. I don't know why. But liberals have figured out how to manipulate the internet. Now, I'm not saying Republicans should learn how to manipulate the internet and then do it, but they should be able to combat this kind of stuff from the left. I mean, it should be a no-brainer. We should be out there. I don't have time on a daily basis. I don't go to Reddit, by the way. Although Reddit and StumbleUpon are rather large. They're rather influential. Maybe I should. I don't know. I don't want to get caught. I used to do the Motley Fool Land of Off-Topic post. And it's just amazing the idiocy of some of these people thinking that, you shouldn't be allowed to say what you're saying. Well, it's what I think and what I believe, and why shouldn't I be able to say it? Because I don't agree with it. Oh, okay. Well, I don't agree with you either, so maybe you shouldn't be allowed to say. Well, I can say whatever I want. Well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You cannot... Well, see, it's propagandists that want you to believe that there is certain speech that is better than other speech. And it all comes down to them being the arbiter of what's fair speech and what is not. You understand that? The liberals want to be the arbiters of what is fair and what is not fair. And if they think that you're not being fair to their beliefs, then they're going to want to shut you up, and they'll do it any possible way they can, including having this campaign with paid people who run around trying to keep you from saying it is whatever you want to say. And if you do say it, they want to run around and trying to make it as illegitimate as possible.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stocking. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, click to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
Hey, welcome back. Here's an idea for all you millennials and all of you wonderful environmental wackos. Science Daily. At ScienceDaily.com. Touted as your source for the latest research news. The Science Daily is reporting, 2 days ago, they reported that researchers have invented the perfect soap molecule that is better for the environment and cleans in all conditions. So all you dirty little millennials can start, taking more showers and washing your face and hands more often and not having to worry about bad soap. A new soap molecule has been invented by scientists. The molecule is made from renewable sources that could dramatically reduce the number of chemicals in cleaning products and their impact on the environment. So this is a team of researchers led by the University of Minnesota has invented this new soap molecule and that is made from renewable sources, and it works evidently. It gets things and people clean. And it's better for the environment. And it requires less chemicals. The molecules work better than some conventional soaps in challenging conditions such as cold water and hard water. The technology has been patented by the University of Minnesota and is licensed to the new Minnesota-based startup company, Sironix Renewables. Sironix. How much you want to bet that this, for soap, you go and get a bar of soap made with this stuff, it's going to be like $6 a bar. Well, people are willing to pay it. Nothing wrong with that, I guess. Not going to hold people. If you want to spend extra money on I have a pet peeve, though. Why is it that, we'll take, for instance, peanut butter. Why is the minimally processed peanut butter, why does that cost more, and sometimes a lot more, than your regular peanut butter? So you look at the jar, and it says list of ingredients, peanuts. That's it. Nothing else. All they do is they grind up peanuts and throw it in the jar. That's it. Not a lot of extra power machinery that's needed. You grind up the peanuts, put it in the jar. Then you go around and you look at some name brand that isn't all natural peanuts. You look at the label and it says peanuts, oil, salt, sugar, and probably something else in there. That's a lot of ingredients for peanut butter. And that means they got to mix it a lot too. Not only do you got to grind the peanuts, because they got to mix all that stuff. That takes power and energy. But that's half the price of the regular all natural peanut butter. And they've got the average peanut butter, the regular peanut butter is emulsified in such a way where the oil doesn't separate, and you've got to mix the all natural peanut butter yourself because the peanut oil tends to rise to the top. So why is it more? So the less we put in things, the more expensive they get? Is that the way it's going to work from now on? Well, why doesn't that work with government? Is that what they're telling us? If we have smaller government, it's going to be a lot more expensive than it is now? Well, it's pretty big, and we're not getting much out of it, and it's pretty damn expensive. Maybe we should try the all-natural version of government. If government got in my way less, and there were fewer laws, but it still costs the same to run as it does today, I would go for that. Now, it wouldn't cost the same or more than it does today, but I would still go for it. Why? Because then I would know that it's being more efficient because it's focusing on the things that it needs to focus on instead of worrying about things it does not need to worry about, because that's on me and you on an individual basis. Think about that for a second. You become more responsible for you and your family and your own life and less dependent on government. And somehow that's a bad thing? Now, I think that's a great thing. And yes, it would be a hell of a lot less expensive if that's the way people actually live their lives and that's the way government actually responded and acted more naturally. All natural government. I'm for it.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra?
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all, the few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Arriba, arriba! That's about my extent of my Spanish lingo. Antonio Banderas! There you go. Welcome back, folks, to the Rod Eccles Show. Even throwing in a little bit of Spanish flamenco. There's certain kind of music just wants to make you move your feet. There's certain kind of music that literally just wants to make you bang your head up against a wall. There's certain kind of music that just makes you want to move your feet, and believe it or not, that type of flamenco just makes you want to do the flamenco. What you do with your feet and your hands and do the tango and all that kind of stuff. Just makes you want to get up and move. And you know that if you listen to, here's a sociological fact on the human condition. If you are sad and depressed, oftentimes what makes you feel better is listening to sad and depressing music. So if you're sad and depressed, listen to sad love songs. Yeah, that'll help snap you out of your sad mood, believe it or not. And some of the saddest songs ever recorded are sad love songs. I remember the 70s. 70s was such a mellow decade as far as music is concerned. That was a decade of, sure, you had the danceable stuff from the Bee Gees, but it was also the decade of Barbra Streisand and Barry Manilow. You didn't get much bigger than those two. Barry Manilow. Remember Randy Van Warmer, Bluer Than Blue? Who is I forget his name, but Mariah Carey did his cover, did a cover of his biggest hit, and then of course you had people like Robert John, Robert John, Sad Eyes. Remember Sad Eyes? Remember that? Yeah. But Randy Van Warmer, he was a one-hit wonder, was he? Wasn't he? I'm bluer than blue. Life without you is gonna be. I'm not a singer. Listen to that kind of stuff. You'll get over your sadness. Believe it or not, you'll snap out of your sadness faster than if you listen to positive, uplifting songs. I don't know why that works. Call it reverse psychology, I guess. I don't know what, but it does. And they've supposedly done research. Google it. Well, I shouldn't say Google. We're trying to get away from Google. Ask it or Bing it or anything. Maybe Pinterest it too. That might help. That kind of stuff is. Sad music is cheerful. It'll If you're sad, you want to cheer up, listen to sad music. I know it sounds counterproductive, but it works. Trust me. What also is working with some of these liberals? Look, you know about the flood of immigrants coming over the border right now. In fact, we're ankle braceleting. Is that how you say that? Ankle braceleting? We're ankle braceleting a lot of these people. In other words, putting those house arrest anklet bracelets on people. Well, they're anklets, not bracelets, but ankle. They put them on their ankles in order to keep track of them, I guess. I don't know. You know how easy it is to take those things off and how many of them there are? So if a whole bunch of them decide to ditch these things, what is the Border Patrol going to do? They can't go and, catch 100 at a time. But some cities want their immigrants to vote. Not citizens, just immigrants. San Francisco is considering opening up local elections to newcomers. This is sacrilege. This is illegal. This is just insanity. Well, it's not insanity for the liberal because they know that the vast majority of illegal immigrants coming across the southern border will more than likely vote Democratic. Meaning, if you get 20,000 illegal immigrants of voting age to cross the border and move into your city, then, more than half of them, at least probably 11, 12, 15,000 of them are going to vote for you, Democrat. Which means it makes it much more difficult for the Republican or conservative to overcome such a deficit. Because, they're not getting a whole hell of a lot of illegals voting their way. And you get the illegals voting the Democrat way because they're being lied to. They're being lied to about which party is better for them. Now, this is a story from Bloomberg again. Another story from Bloomberg. I don't often get stuff from Bloomberg, but every once in a while they'll, hey, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Look at illegal immigrants voting all over the country, said Donald Trump said recently. He claimed in a Fox News interview, part of his ongoing effort to cast doubt on the integrity of the presidential election. And look, it's not just Donald saying this. People are posting stuff on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, videos of them trying to be cheated out of their vote. So this is not an allegation. This is actually happening. People are actually having their vote change, which is wrong. And so, first of all, it's wrong because it's not fair. I mean, the simple fairness of rules, following the rules, has got to account for something. But to take a person and to nullify their vote is just evil. Just so you can get your way. Even if nobody else wants your way. I mean, it's just, we all had that friend or that acquaintance in the neighborhood that always had to have their way no matter what. Did you have one of those in your? We had one. They were the know-it-all and always had to have their way because they were always right. Now that person wasn't me. As a kid, I was a lot more amiable. I was not as forceful as I am today. I was not as staunch. I didn't follow the crowd, but I didn't make waves. As a kid, I didn't make any waves. I was the kind of kid that you barely noticed. I stayed out of trouble. In fact, when I did get in trouble, which was rare, it was so noticeable because I rarely got into trouble. So I was not that kid on the block that tried to always get his way. I just always, look, if I didn't like it, I just didn't play with you. That's all. If I didn't like the rules of the game, I just didn't play the game. I just went home. But I was not a kid who would stomp around and try to get my way. I was always the quiet one. Yeah, you ever heard this story, that your mother always warned you about the quiet ones, right? Well, yeah, I wasn't that kind of quiet. But I was always the quiet one. I didn't make waves overtly. But there was always a kid on the block that always tried to get his way. Well, this is what, no matter what everybody else wanted, even if it was like 10-1 against that one kid, he would not stop, would not stop from pressing, would not keep arguing, would not keep, he would just keep going and going and going until he got his way. Because then eventually everybody else just gave up and said, well, we want to play this, so let's just do it his way and get it over with. That happened more often than not. So but every kids don't play in neighborhood groups anymore because they're all inside watching TV and playing Xbox. But every neighborhood has a group of kids has one kid like that. But this is how the Clintons are. This is how the left is. They're that one kid. No matter what, they're going to get their way. Even if they have to cheat to get it. They don't want fairness. They just want their way. I mean, they have their reasons. Doesn't mean that those reasons are correct. They want illegals to vote. Why? Because they know that most of those illegals, it'll put them in a positive voting stance. In other words, the number of illegals that don't vote for them will be more than outmatched by those that do. Small number example. They know that if 100 illegals come in and vote, that probably 75 of them are going to vote Democratic and 25 are going to vote Republican, which means they get a positive swing of 50 votes. You see how that works? I know it's not new math, so a lot of people, young people, probably don't get it, but it's simple and straightforward. 100 illegals come into a city. 75 of them vote for Democrats, 25 vote for Republicans, which means that the Republicans are at a deficit of 50 votes. That's what the Democrats want. Don't doubt me on this. This is what they want. They want their way no matter what. They don't care that you're the member of the 10 kids and they're the one kid. Doesn't matter. They want their way, period. And how do you get your way, period? Well, you cheat, oftentimes. You cheat. Well, I guess it is what it is. By the way, there's a homeless man. A homeless man is standing guard over Trump's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and he's protecting them from violently. He's got a poster picture. Well, he's not a poster, but a placard. He's holding up this placard while he's sitting almost on top of Donald Trump's star on the Walk of Fame. But there's a video and a picture of this homeless supporter of Trump. He guards his star on the Hollywood Boulevard from violent leftists. And he's homeless, evidently jobless, and he's holding up a placard or a handmade sign. And it says 20 million illegals and Americans sleeping on the streets. And in tents, T-E-N-T-S, camping tents. So 20 million illegals and Americans sleep on the streets and in tents. Vote Trump because all this stuff is Democratic fault. And that's absolutely accurate. Absolutely, and I'll post the picture of this guy doing his duty to protect Trump. So Donald Trump's Walk of Fame star is destroyed, and police are investigating it. So later in the day, the homeless person sat near the star to protect it. Against, why would you want to just destroy public property like that? Just because you don't like the person. But do Republicans do that? Do conservatives run around destroying stuff that belongs to somebody else just simply because we don't like that person whose name it happens to be? Really? Does the right ever? One of the things that I've often heard that you cannot deny. Look at what is the tally? Some 200 million firearms in the hands of 80 million people. 80 million conservatives out there with about 200 million firearms, guns, and about over 1 trillion, I think 2 trillion rounds of ammunition. And yet those people are not violent. Do you ever notice that? We have all of these law-abiding citizens out there with legal firearms in their possession and all that ammunition, and they don't go out and cause havoc. And you got all these people on the left who don't have guns, who despise guns, they hate guns, they supposedly hate violence, and they commit all of this destruction. You would think that they were hurricanes or something. Yeah, Occupy Wall Street, look at all that damage that they did. You get a bunch of conservatives together, Tea Parties together, and what happens? Oh, my goodness, the plaza or the park ends up being cleaner than when they arrived. That's what happens, at a conservative rally. They go to a park. They have a rally in a park. And lo and behold, when they leave, the park is usually cleaner than before they got there. And no trees were cut down, and no windows across the street were smashed. No toilets were overflowing in the stuffed with toilet paper at the local Starbucks. No, but you get these liberals together, and it's like, oh man, they tore up the lawn. They beat down some young trees that'll never grow up now. We got to cut them down. They damaged some other trees, and they broke some windows across the street and businesses across the street. And poor Starbucks, they have to call in a plumber to unclog their toilets. That's not an exaggeration, by the way. In fact, when it comes to the left and their protests, that's most likely an understatement. Righties do not, people on the right do not run around in the street and flipping over people's cars, including cop cars. No, we don't do that. And yet we have guns too, and so far there hasn't been any mass killings from Republicans. Have you noticed that too? I know I'm not supposed to think about stuff like that, and I'm not supposed to, talk about stuff like that, and I'm not supposed to point that kind of stuff out, because that's the kind of stuff that doesn't make headlines, and it doesn't fit the narrative that they, the wonderful propaganda narrative that they want you to believe. But the truth is out there. All you got to, just like, James O'Keefe, all you got to do is just go out and find it. It's not hard in today's age. You don't have to spend a year trying to plan and infiltrate. All you got to do is just do a little bit of research, and you'll find everything you need to know. And you ever try Googling climate change, and all you get is this pro-climate change crap? Change it up. Go to ask.com or to Bing and ask the same search question. You'll get a totally different result. Why? Because Google's in the tank for Hillary Clinton and this global climate change garbage. So all their algorithms are going to point you in the direction of this man-made man is the cause of global climate change. It's not the case. It's not the truth. It's not real. But that's what they want you to think. We'll be back to wrap it up in just a sec.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This holiday season, help Soldiers for Stockings improve the morale and welfare of members of our armed forces deployed overseas. Now through November 20th, there is so much work to be done, and you can help in many ways. Download the stocking pattern from stockingsforsoldiers.org and start sewing today. Volunteer to help decorate and assemble stockings. Donate Christmas candies, snacks, nuts, chips, drink mixes, DVDs, books, magazines, lip balm, toiletries, and other items needed to fill the stockings. Or help make packets of snowman soup, hot chocolate, to send along with the stockings. For more information, patterns, and a list of items needed, visit stockingsforsoldiers.org. This holiday season, help send our troops a touch of home. For many, it's all they will receive. All stockings need to be completed by November 20th. So get started today at stockingsforsoldiers.org. That's stockingsforsoldiers.org. Stockings for Soldiers, sending stockings filled with joy to our soldiers in harm's way for the 9th consecutive year.
You know, one of the things that during my course of research and show prep this morning is I keep finding all this stuff about Hillary Clinton and her health. Evidently, she stumbled yesterday boarding a plane. She needs help walking up one step. She stumbles boarding the plane. You know, the people that used to be in politics that stumbled that much, they called him clumsy. We had a president like that, and he was clumsy, but he was still in good health. Most of you probably don't remember Gerald R. Ford, who took over after the resignation of Richard M. Nixon. But yeah, Jerry Ford used to he only did it twice, and the press blasted him as being clumsy and not being able to pick up his feet and being lazy. I mean, he's clumsy but this woman. Oh, hey, look, she's the epitome of health, I guess, right? According to them. And also, did you hear the one about Donald Trump Jr. helping a disabled motorist on the highway actually help push the car to safety? Pushed with his hands. Donald Trump Jr. Yeah, you don't hear that kind of stuff in the media too often, do you? Absolutely not. Well, you millennials out there, I'm going to challenge you to do something. All of you get better hygiene. You want a job? Shave, guys, shave. Females, shave. Shave your legs. Cover up those tattoos if you don't get embarrassing tattoos. That's the other thing. I don't know why you people want to mark your body up with these things and call it art. Some of it's kind of cool, yeah, but for the most part, it's going to be detrimental to you and your entire future. Is that body art really worth? One thing I learned a long time ago is some people, they want to have long hair. Is having that long hair really worth getting in the way of you achieving all your other goals in life, financial and otherwise? I would say it's not, but you never know. Just a little bit of wisdom there. So don't get caught up in this whole notion that you need to, it's your freedom. You can do what you want. Sometimes, yeah, you can do what you want, but should you? Well, all I can say is what you should do is make sure that you go out and vote in about a week and a half. Vote for Donald Trump, or else, you might lose some other rights because, premiums in Arizona for Obamacare went up 116%. I guess that's affordable too. In any case, we're out of time for today and this week, but we'll be back on Monday. So hang in there, folks. Have a wonderful weekend. I will be back on Monday. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Share the word. Share the show with a friend or a loved one or a hated one. I'm Rod Eccles. This has been The Rod Eccles Show. I'm out.